Welcome. This is MAW's Marketplace. I'm your host, Andre Harris. I'm here today with Tim Putnam. Tim Putnam is a veteran of the United States military, and we're doing this show to show the veterans how we appreciate them, along with the company I work for, Great Plains Manufacturing, the Human Resource Department. They do a toy drive, and some local children at Sunset Elementary School and Oakdale Elementary School drew some portraits for veterans. And so I'd like to present Tim with one of those portraits. Tim, as a young man, what encouraged you or inspired you to join the military? And when you did join, what rank were you versus when you retired as a veteran?
I went to the military because I grew up in a small town in north central Kansas, a farming community, and farming wasn't for me, and I didn't want to do that, so I joined the Air Force. I went into the Air Force to Lackland Air Force Base, and I started as an E1. I ended up going to Keesler Air Force Base, and from there I went to Simbach, Germany. I spent 4 years over there. I retired after 8 years. I was an E5 when I retired from the Air Force.
Now, an E5, is that someone in the Air Force, is that the highest rank you think?
No, it was. If I would have re-enlisted, I could have made more of a rank. But I chose. My father was not doing well at the time, so I chose to get out of the military and go be with him before he passed away.
All right. Our condolences to you.
Thank you.
When you enlisted in the military, how did you overcome the fears that, most people, will have when they're about to make a transition in their lives? We're always guaranteed to live life, but, life is so valuable, you can easily lose it. So how did you overcome your fears? Could you encourage the young people or someone that's thinking about going into the military?
Well, I could tell you that I was from a good spiritual upbringing from my mom and my dad. I also was curious more what's out there besides what's in Kansas. I've always been that. I've lived in Colorado after I got out of the service. And so I always like to see the country and what's out there besides what's in my neck of the woods right here. That's always intrigued me.
So as you visited various countries, was there a particular culture that fascinated you as opposed to growing up here in Kansas?
Every time you think you have it bad here in Kansas, you go to a different country and you see we have it pretty good here. There's a lot of other countries out there that would thrive and love to have what we have here.
Great answer. Now, as a military personnel, as you transition from E1 on up to E5, what challenges did you face?
The bureaucracy of the government itself working, because there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Great answer, great answer. That's even in the secular world. Now, as we sit here and visit with you, I know that myself, I run into veterans all the time, and many of them face challenges, whether there is a lack of financial resources for them or some sort of medical problem that they got when they were in the military versus transitioning back to secular life or civilian life, if I could say it. Mm-hmm. Is what do you think that a ministry that offers support for veterans would be able to do to focus on certain areas that you might have in mind?
Well, I'll tell you right now, one of my classmates, he joined the Marines. He retired after 25 years as a sniper. He just moved to Walkeny, which I drive out there and see him at least once a month. He has PTSD so bad, he's thought about taking his life. So that's something that we need to be there for our military people that come back, because he had to do a lot of unspeakable things for our country when he was there. And now he's having trouble dealing with it when he's back here. And it doesn't seem that we give our veterans enough spiritual or medical treatment when they do get back. There too many fall through the cracks.
And I would also like to take this opportunity to say thank you for serving our country, as well as all of the other military staff that you served with.
Thank you.
When you are on a deployment, how important is it to be disciplined to work with a team of soldiers or military personnel that you are assigned to?
You have to work as a team. You go in there as a team. Individuals, you won't make it. You have to be a team. You have to have your brother's back on it. And it's just respect the person that you're right next to.
Now, Tim, as a father, in raising your family, I know it's very important in this in particular society to raise children as well as young adults with values and principles that you instill to them that would allow them to become outstanding citizens in the community. What are the disciplines that you mostly use as a tool to help your young people or young adults succeed in life?
Well, it's yes sir, no sir. I've instilled that into my kids. I mean, I'm still from middle school, yes sir, no school, and you respect your elders. Also, the environment. My biggest one I'm in is in the environment right now. So everyone, I've got 5 kids, and I have 10 grandkids, and 1 more in the oven. Outdoors, we spend so much time outdoors in sports, camping and fishing, instead of getting them off their phone, their iPad, the television. We spend a lot of time outside, and I instill, every time we go to a lake as a family, first thing we do when we get out of the car, we take a trash bag and we clean up that lake where we're at.
That's awesome.
We always leave it cleaner than what we get there. And to this day, I've got a 12-year-old granddaughter. She'll tell people, don't throw that down. We've got to clean it up better than what we have.
Now, what would her name be?
Her name is Katen May.
Well, we appreciate the value you instilled in Katen and how she carries that, family principle wherever she goes. Now, as an outstanding citizen in the city of Salina, Kansas, is there any type of work that you do that you would like to encourage someone that's a veteran that is struggling with employment? Is there something that you could probably inspire them or encourage them to look into doing so that they would be able to modify their financial situation?
Well, one of the best things, when I got out of the service, I moved to Denver, Colorado. I started a roofing company. I did that for 10 years. Started having kids. I thought they had to eat 24 hours a day, so I give that up. But the best thing, I went into car sales. I did that for 17 years. Is the best deal that we still use veterans to this day is go find your dealership out there. They need retired gentlemen that they can say, I need a car from this town or this town or this state. They'll pay you to go pick it up and bring it back. It's easy work. All you got to do is drive, and you get paid by the mile, and you get all your expenses back. And we still use military people for that today. And there's 9 dealerships here in Salina that there's plenty of jobs out there for the veteran if you have a driver's license. You don't have to have a CDL or anything like that, just a valid driver's license. It's good money. It's get there out there on the road, and you clear your head when you're on that windshield time. I do it every day.
Would this also be an opportunity available for the female veterans as well?
Yes, we have female drivers too. We have retired women that do that for us too. So male and female, it doesn't matter. If you can drive and you can read a map to get to one certain town or come back, or your phone, the job's there for you. And it's very peaceful to drive and just think about your life and what you can do and what you're thankful for.
Now, when you spoke of your friend down in Waukene, you mentioned a disorder that I am quite sure a lot of military retired staff have. And when you retired from the military, did you have any challenges of such?
No, I did very well. I really enjoyed the military. I really did. I came, but I'm the exception to the rule. There's, for every one of me, there's 10 more out there, like my friend John Bird out in Waukene.
Yeah, we we'll keep John in our prayers.
Thank you very
and
much.
we really appreciate you, John, for serving your country in the capacity that you did. And as I say, we'll keep you in prayer, and I know that God has great things for you. Now, Tim, when you're on the road and you're traveling from various cities and states, do you encounter various people that have significant challenges in life, and how do you encourage them when you meet them?
Well, I do see a lot of people that are downtrodden, military, ex-vets, standing on street corners with signs, hungry, food, help, get me here. I don't ignore them. I can't, by insurance, I can't give them a ride, but I'll take them and buy them a hot meal, and I'll buy them a hot meal every time.
That's totally awesome. Now, I know that as Veteran Day is approaching, it's kind of like a lot of people do not acknowledge our veterans. So if you could inspire someone that is cold and callous, if I can use those terms, or someone that is insensitive to a military staff that served our country, how would you compassionately inspire them to get them to change their thoughts about military retired staff?
Military retired staff had a job to do. They were told what to do. They did it. Now it comes back into the mind part. Some of the stuff is not pleasant. We don't want to know about it, but it had to be done. We need to think there are human beings that are suffering right now. So please, it's a fellow man. Please listen to him. Give him a cup of coffee. Do it some. Show him that you care, because a lot of them came back from the service. They were not liked for what they had to do, and they're still suffering from it to this day.
And once again, we'll keep all military retired staff as well as the enlisted men and women in prayer. Now, you mentioned that as a father, a grandfather, as a husband, and you spend a lot of quality time, would you encourage individuals, whether they are related to those individual military staff that retired, would you encourage them to reach out and spend quality time with someone?
Yes, if you can just spend time, that's all they want to do. They want to feel that somebody cares. A lot of them have mental disorders that don't think anyone care about it. We do care about it, but we need to show it. And we need to quit being afraid to show it, because that's all they are. They're just a human being. They want to be loved. They want to be cared. And so it's about time that we start treating them the way they should be treated.
What are the disciplines and principles that you instill to your family that will be the legacy that they will continue?
Always go out of your way to help another person. Don't be prejudging people. You never judge people. People might look so hard on the outside, but they're just this kid on the inside. Get to know people. Just don't listen to other people. Use your heart and your mind and make your own decisions about it.
Now, as a Air Force and enlisted in the Air Force, did you enjoy flying?
Yes, I did. The landing sometimes a little difficult.
Right. Well, as we navigate through life, if we look at it like life is the runway, and how do you think that the dynamics of your life changed as you went through a paradigm shift from being a civilian and then going into the military?
It taught me to make my bed. To this day, I'm 60 years old and I still make my bed every day.
That's awesome.
It takes you responsibility and teamwork. As you come into the military, you're usually your own individual. Well, they're gonna break that down in basic. I promise you they will. But you're gonna have to start caring about one another and having some others back, because he's gonna have to have your back. And it just teach team building is what basically I learned from the military's team building.
And so this show caters to entrepreneurs. I mean, it's a format that God designed to inspire, inform, and impart to young men and women, as well as individuals, whether they are old or young, to think about becoming an entrepreneur. As a independent contractor, how do you see yourself within the next 2 to 3 years?
I'm going to keep doing what I do. I love what I'm doing. It's I've had enough hustles and bustles through the life. Now they just tell me where it's at and what it is, and they leave me alone. I go get it. I love doing that, and I would like to get other people into it, retired veterans specifically, into doing that, because I mean, most dealerships have 8 to 10 drivers. And if you take that over, there's thousands of jobs out there, and it's so easy to do, and it's good for, and it'll get you back into the workforce, but yet you're not having to work hard at it. You're going to use your mind a lot with it.
And as you said, the key word was you love what you do. So by all means, would you encourage any viewer to be passionate about what it is they're after?
Find what you like to do and be passionate about it. If there's, you might go through 10 things before you find what you like, but once you find what you like, you will be passionate, you will care, you'll go the extra mile.
Now, one of the things that a lot of individuals are challenged with is managing their financial resources. Would you be able to inspire someone in a rather compassionate way of how to go about structuring or restructuring their finances from the ground up?
From the ground up, you go figure out, if I'm having a soda a day, you figure that up, that's 60 cents a day. Take that times 30 days, that's $18 a month. Well, you could still buy half the sodas and put $10 a month away for a rainy day fund. So there's always a way to cut back on the spending and put a little bit for a nest egg for an emergency fund.
That's phenomenal. Now, a lot of people, if I can use that term, they lack the discipline of saving money. And so when it comes to saving, what would you encourage an individual to do if they are willing to take this advice? What would you encourage them to do outside of the soda metaphor versus trying to buy a vehicle that's out of their range?
Yeah, I've run into that in my bid, and I've told people, I've got in trouble with the dealership. I tell them, you can't afford this. I said, have you called your insurance man to find out what it's going to cost? You think the payment's going to work, but what's your insurance going to cost? And stuff like that. So you need to make sure that you can afford something. And if you can't afford it and you put money back, then when you get that paid down, you might be able to afford something a little bit nicer. But you don't have to start at the top. You start at the bottom and work your way up. And as you start saving and retaining money and building equity in your vehicle, then you can afford a better vehicle.
So if we could flip that statement there, suppose when you first joined the Air Force, they put you in the airplane, didn't take you through basics. How do you think that your life in the military would have turned out?
I would have crashed and burned. That's as simple as that.
It's good to give a truthful answer. So, in other words, as we journey through life, we need to start with the basics.
Start with the basics and everything else will come so much easier. Care about your fellow man. Care about your neighbor, because some people don't have anyone that cares about them and that affects them. So just treat somebody like you'd like to be treated. That's my philosophy in life. I always treat someone how I would love to be treated.
That's a phenomenal answer. Well, Tim, we appreciate you taking out the time. Once again, we would like to thank you for serving our country, but we would also like to give you this portrait that one of the children from either Sunset Elementary School or Oakdale Elementary School had drawn and given to Great Plains Manufacturing human resource managers Tammy Bosco, Brian Cook, and retired HR Director Jim Jones Sr. So we want to say thank you once again for serving our country. We want to wish you a happy Veterans Day, and we want to say that we'll continue to keep you and all the other military staff in prayer. Would you like to say anything to anyone as we close out?
Yes, I would. And thank you very much for this. I will cherish this with the rest of my stuff. Just remember, people, treat people the way you want to be treated. Just because they're down on the luck doesn't mean they're not a good person. Don't prejudge people. Be there to help a fellow man out. Thank you very much.
And would you also like to give a shout out to your wife? Because I know you wouldn't be swirling around here if you didn't have a good...
Oh, no, the boss. Her name is Debbie, and yes, I am not the person I would be without my wife beside my side.
Well, we appreciate Debbie for giving us this opportunity to interview you, and we want to pray that you all have the greatest in everything that you all do. You have a wonderful day, Tim.
God,
yes, go ahead.
God bless you all.